two races of the day here in Lincolnshire at the PF International Kart Circuit for the 2024 MondoKart.com FIA Karting World Championship.
If they are equal on points, virtue of the time qualifying from more than 24 hours ago. But you never know if there are any other changes in the results post-race. This could still be a race where we see a drive that gets a driver onto the front row of the grid tomorrow morning.
Certainly could be that way. Let's have a look at the starting lineup. Ian Kraling of Germany starts on pole position. I'll have Devin Waltz from the USA alongside Eli Christian and Jarrett Clark on row number 2. Aston Sharp and Riley Cranham round out an all-British row number 3. They'll have Luke Cornder and Nat Johnson, who will not be there, on row number 4. Alfie Slater and Jean-Mathieu Rousseau go from row 5. They'll have Boris Lyson and Daniel Kelleher on row 6. Xiao Zijun and Marco Gast on row 7. George Edgar and Joel Pokler on row number 8. And they'll have Bruno Grick and Matteo Rivals on row number 9.
Mark Pilipenko has got one more race here today. Starts on the 10th row of the grid. Is joined by Edward Kennedy, Louis Cachet and Levi Sangera on row 11. Merrill Peldes and Roland Nagy on row 12. Sunansi and Fausto Arnardo on row 13. Makar Savalev and Kara Fear on row 14. Simas Pachuska and Evan Purcell on row 15. Maxim Bobashov will not take the start of this one, so it'll just be Marcello Tortato on row 16. Jacopo Martinezzi, one more race, done a great job of getting his 2-on-5 machine up the order. Needs to do it again here if he's going to see him tomorrow. It's joined by Toby Gale on the 17th row of the grid.
Certainly is. Well, for the whole field, this is their last race of the day for Groups D versus G. Of course, we'll see a handful of these drivers out tomorrow, of course, in those super heats. There's a look at your intermediate classification. Roman Kanyab leading that one, 256 from Noah Baglan's 253. They are done for the day. Schauffer as well, 246 from Craig is 244. Mackey's from 225 from Coronel with 220. Joint with Costoya on 220. Brown with 216. Bolowski with 206 and Kraling with 203. And they are in this race. Ian Kraling just outside the top 10, or just inside the top 10. On board with Boris Lyson for the Sodi Kart team, and you can see him there, final few checks to get himself up to scratch in this race. Let's see what he can do from the 6th row of the grid. The driver of the 220 currently starting this one P11. But the good thing is they'll have the inside line into turn 1. Andrew.
I like that choice for onboard camera selection. That's a good one. As you see Boris Lyson coming through the field from that 6th row of the grid. Here we go into the tram lines. Lights out, racing once again. Last chance for drivers in groups D and G to qualify through to tomorrow's Super Heats. Oh dear, there's a bit of a scrappy start in the second half of the field. One driver hasn't even made it to the bridge. It's the 251. It's Zhao in the Ricky Flynn Motorsport entry. Will have the push start, does get it going. Full credit there to Zhao to get back in the race, but unfortunately is down the back into hairpin 1. Very congested. Are they all going to make their way through? It's looking good in the first half of the field. Into hairpin number 2. It's the 224 of Devin Waltz moving back up the order, but Ian Kraling is already started to break away.
Yep, he certainly is. He's got a nice little gap there. That would have been helped by the fact that Devin Waltz just getting back up into 2nd place, squeezing the other drivers down. That was a big lunge down the inside there for Daniel Kelleher on, I believe, our cam cut, but it didn't work out. Boris Lyson still holding on to that position. Aston Sharp, you can see in 3rd place, is having a good race as we go through the order. Let's take you through the starting lineup here. It's Kraling from Waltz, Sharp from Clark, Christian from Corner, Cranham from Slater, Lyson, Kelleher, Pokler, Edgar, the top 12. But like you were saying there, Marco Gast not having a good race, down to 30th place.
Yeah, and he's got to work back up the order from there on lap number 2 in the shadows now. You see how this track changes across the course of the day. Jarrett Clark has made a good start. Is holding there in 4th place, change for the lead. Well, what a second lap this has been from Devin Waltz. We were talking about how Ian Kraling was gone. He's now lost the lead. Battle raging on for 3rd as well, as through comes Riley Cranham through the Fullerton S's there. It's a very busy part all around the top 10. Christen slipping down the order, it would seem, there as well, in the bright yellow helmet for the Tony Kart team. Anthony, well, just shows that when we thought that Kraling was going to be gone and away, he's going to have to fight back now.
Yep, Jean-Mathieu Rousseau as well, after running wide out of the final corner, now has to go wheel to wheel with the driver just behind him in the former Bruno Greek for the Ward Racing team. They hold position as well. But yeah, you're right, Ili Christian having a little bit of a mare out of the Fullerton S's and got swamped by the pack, and saw him drop down 5 places in the start of this race. And again, down and towards hairpin number 1. The sun very low in the sky now, makes it a little bit difficult there for everyone to see there, and already there's a bit of drama. Some karts running wide right to the back of the grid as into the pit lane, and very frustrated is Carrier Fairhand going no further.
And that might be the end of this World Championship.
Flat tyre, I think that is.
Yeah, kicking the tyre there. Looking like it was oh my goodness me, that is a close moment. And off the circuit. Is that the 313 of Edward Kennedy? I think it was for Energy Corsa. Here, Cranham down the inside there of Kraling. I'm quite surprised here. Krayling's not got the race pace that we saw this time yesterday. Kraling was in great form. The back end of the kart is sliding around all over the place.
Well, like you say, that could be tyres, but we're coming into double wave yellows down in towards hairpin number 1, and that will be, of course, for the recovery operation of Edward Kennedy, the Canadian in the Energy course. But now they're past the green flags, and now they can switch around again, and there you're seeing Cranham up into second place and Kraling. And like we were saying, yeah, that back end stepping out could be down to tyres again. He could be waiting. He thinks, oh, we've got to the end of the day. We've not deployed the new ones yet. Let's just save them for tomorrow and let's see how this race goes. That's how Christian went backwards. Just lost the back end, tumbled down the order.
Indeed. This was the view on board with Boris Lyson. Wow, that was a huge save from Ili Christian. Did very, very well to keep control of his kart. So, end of lap number 4, onto lap 5, second half of the race. Intermediate classification, top 3 unchanged with the results as things stand. Kamiab, Backlund and Schaufler still holding those positions. Kraling would be up to 4th, so that would be outside of row number 1 for Superheat B tomorrow. He could lose that still, though. He's in a tie on points with Kenzo Craigie. Alfie Slater's not too far off the total of Kraling as well. Slater's in this race, and again, moving up through the order. Again, a 4 so far for Slater, who's up to 5th.
Yep, certainly is, as we watch here. Boris Lyson again trying to attack there just behind. You can see Slater in the mix of that one, but at the front here, you still have Kraling trying to get back onto the rear bumper of Jarrett Clark, who's now up into 3rd place, pushing his way through. Do you know we've not done in a while? An onboard lap. Let's take one right here, right now, with Boris Lyson here at the PF International Circuit. You can see there the stats of where he is, but in towards the Bruno Ferrari S's for the first time. There you can see the sunlight right in driver's eye going through as he dives down the inside of the banking there as Lyson tries to get through past Alfie Slater. Over the Litchfield Bridge, then through turns 4 and 5. They then come downhill in towards the shadows of hairpin number 1, turn 6. Again, you see no defensive line there. You can see a little bit tighter on the exit. You can see there Sharp was a little wide on the exit there, carrying the speed through hairpin 1. This is hairpin 2, back into the sunlight now as you then dip down in towards the Fullerton S's. Part 1 through turn 8, part 2 through turn 9. Bombygate corner is the next through turn 10. Nice little switch through on here. You can see how little steering input you have to do there. These Maxxis tyres doing a brilliant job of getting these karts around the lap. And then you enter the Mike Wilson complex then, back through Pitts Bend to end the lap here at PFI. And Boris Lyson, you can see all the way throughout that lap, was closing in on Aston Sharp.
Yeah, it was indeed. Oh, we'll ask some of the drivers later on this evening whether, now that you've got the shadows across the first hairpin, and especially the braking zone, whether it's just a little bit slipperier now in that part of the course without the sun beating down on the tarmac. There is your battle for the race lead. Devin Waltz and Riley Cranham. Riley Cranham, patient there, has gained 4 places so far in this race. Devin Waltz, a bit wide for Jarrett Clark in the background. Has had a decent run so far, is up to 3rd. Riley Cranham, where does he make the move here? When does he make the move as well? We're on the penultimate lap of this race as Marco Gast is under investigation, and now that's a little bit worse for Marco Gast. He's now out of this race. There's another driver involved.
Pilipenko.
It's Mark Pilipenko. That will be the end of Pilipenko's World Championship.
I believe so, yeah. That may just tumble them outside of the cutoff to get into those superheats tomorrow. Here's a replay of how that happened. Oh dear, just getting tangled up, and the two Fusions are out of this race, and they won't be happy at all. Final lap board is out though, and look at this. Cranham's all over the rear bumper of Waltz. Who's going to take this win as they go into yellow flags? There'll be no overtaking permitted here as the incident tries to get cleaned up. I think the yellows have now been cleared, and now you're seeing the change again, but holding on to it, Devon Waltz, but nothing that Cranham can do right now.
He's had a warning flag as well. Riley Cranham does need to be a bit careful. Is there a switchback? No, he's not alongside coming out of the Fullerton S's. And yeah, it's going to be a good race to the end here.
Certainly will be. In towards the final section they go now. Lars, who dives down the inside. Jarrett Clark trying to hold off Ian Kraling, but out of the final corner, checker flag's going to be out. It's going to go the way of Devon Waltz then across the line. The American takes his last win of the day, bumps himself up in the order, but still sits outside the top 10 in the intermediate classification. Devon Waltz takes the win then from Riley Cranham, who does move up to 7th in the IC. Jarrett Clark finishing in 3rd place, helps himself out as well, but still outside that top 10. Ian Kraling does gain in the intermediate classification, but finishes that one outside the top 3 in P4. Boris Lyson, 6 places gained, has a great race, but there right at the end, a very unfortunate one. Roland Nagy out of the race on that very last lap. There's a look at your classifications at the end of that one. Devon Waltz from Riley Cranham, Jarrett Clark from Kraling, Lyson from Sharp, Slater from Christen, Cochet from Rousseau, Kelleher, Pockeler, Edgar, Greek, and Muslon rounding out the top 15. Marcel Muslon, 17 places gained. If I've ever seen a driver try to deploy a brand new set of slicks, it was in that race. And I think Marcelo Muslon had deployed those. The same as Jacopo Martinez, another very important race there for the Italian, for the Kart Republic factory team. 16 places gained after a terrible qualifying for him.